There are people all over this planet right now, huddled in the dark, terrified about what might happen next. They're waiting for a sign, something to reassure them that everything will be all right. But they won't wait long. Fear is a powerful and dangerous thing. And if you don't act, if you don't show them that they're not alone, then fear will surely take over.
On Stardate 49364, Vice Admiral Leyton would be discovered to be an architect of a large-scale overthrow of the United Federation of Planets. Finding many supporters, he would have transferred personnel and military equipment around to ensure that Starfleet would be able to defeat the oncoming Dominion threat. Luckily, he was stopped by Captain Sisko and the crew of the USS Defiant, his treason being shown to the President and others. However, I'm not here to discuss those events specifically, but how he would have came to power and how those who ultimately would oppose him had inadvertently empowered him.
But one thing is certain, we're losing the peace, which means a war could be our only hope.
In order to understand how the Federation could come within an inch of being destroyed, we have to parse out what occurred before. The Dominion threat was something that was apparent, their encroachment upon Federation territory for all to see.
They know the location of the Founders' homeworld, and they've modified their cloaks so the Jem'Hadar can't detect their approach.
It sounds like you're hoping Tane will succeed.
I never hope for war, Major. But if it comes, I'd rather see the Dominion on the losing side.
Starfleet was so worried about the Dominion that they would give up all of their morals and sit back, letting a force that was set on genociding the Founders pass right by them. And so with all of this, along with dialogue throughout the series, we can only imagine the type of dialogue that would be on the news feeds. And we can understand what people would be saying between each other. There is this obvious threat to the Federation. Democracy and freedoms are under siege, and the current government isn't doing anything. Hell, did you hear? There was a bombing by the Dominion at Antwerp. There's nothing that the Founders won't do to ensure that we all bow down before them. And people just sit back and let the mechanical wills of bureaucracy continue. They say that this is horrible, that everything is being taken over, we're losing our way of life, and that we have to do something, and yet they aren't doing anything at all. No, we are going to have to band together to stop all of this. If the government won't do it, we have to. So with all of the rhetoric that is seen both on screen and inferred in the background, what exactly would those who have been talking like this expect to happen? The government won't do anything, as I've said, but they clearly state that something bad is happening. The military is staying completely out of it. They aren't doing anything. They're going to let the political side figure everything out. So, if no one else is going to listen to you, if you're disenfranchised and the leaders you listen to say that you're disenfranchised, you have to take charge and do everything yourself. Leyton certainly felt that nothing was going to change and that they were going to lose their way of life if he didn't attempt to create insurrection. He and his forces would storm government buildings of the Federation, remove those in power that were doing nothing, and stop this threat. So the question is, could the Leyton coup have been prevented? Probably. Leyton was never the actual problem. The people who were going to take over the government, who were going to storm the government buildings, they were symptoms. In order to prevent attempts at insurrection, ensuring that people are not being disenfranchised and saying just utterly stupid things that have the obvious result of violence is key. You have to understand when you're in a position of power, you can't be selfish and say things that will lead to the death of others. You can't say things need to be fixed, that people need to march on specific areas, and do nothing. Of course, all of this is just idle thought and not at all related to the failed insurrection of January 6, 2020, incurred by radical elements tied to the Republican Party. What are your guys' thoughts? Let me know in the comments below.
It's not over!
I have enough loyal officers to make a fight of it.